Joined by Fabrice Muamba, former professional footballer, played for, of course, Bolton, my club Arsenal, and represented England as well, under 21 level. Fabrice, let's get into this new campaign. Only a quarter of people could give life-saving CPR and use a defib. Now, of course, you know, for those of you who don't know, listening, this is very personal to you, Fabrice. I hope you don't mind me asking, but could you perhaps describe what happened to you at that game at White Hart Lane?
I suffered a heart attack, a sudden cardiac arrest, you can call it. And I was fortunate enough that I had the best medical care that could ask and wish for. I had a defibrillator nearby me. I had 4 doctors from two from each club, both Bolton and Tottenham Hotspur. I had the ambulance, which was 10 seconds away from me, and I had a cardiologist in a stand watching the game. So it's almost like they all came together and worked extremely hard, be able to take me from the pitch to the stadium, from the stadium to the hospital, and help me to make my recovery.
And before it happened to you, I mean, this particular survey, Fabrice, only half of UK adults would not feel confident in administering CPR. Would you have felt confident in doing it before the incident?
If I knew what to do, I would go for it, because I didn't know what to do. You know what I mean? So that was then. But this is now that I've learned what to do. I've been trained to know what to do. You have to remove the fear you have to remove that fear. You have to go with it. And obviously, once you open the defibrillator, it's self-explanatory. It will talk to you. It will tell you where to put the pad, when to give a shot. And that's always being able to do that and be able to do CPR. It gives a patient a huge percentage of surviving sudden cardiac arrest.
And of course, Fabrice, you're not alone. There are 500 frontline Virgin Media staff who've also received the life-saving CPR and defib training. This has, of course, come from the British Heart Foundation. How important is it, do you think, that big organisations such as Virgin, other organisations, know exactly what to do if they're faced with this particular situation?
It's such a great initiative from Virgin Media to train their frontline driver, their frontline engineer, to be able to save or to be able to use a defibrillator, a portable defibrillator, do CPR in an environment where if it needs to be, because nobody knows where this accident can happen. But if you are able to do CPR, if you have an accident, if you have access to a defibrillator, they're giving a person a huge percentage of surviving cardiac arrest before even the ambulance gets there. So we've seen it in the stadium at Newcastle, where the game was playing. A supporter, suffered a cardiac arrest. A nearby gentleman who know what to do, know how to do CPR, did the CPR. By the time a defibrillator get to the individual, he was already in a better position. So it's all about being proactive and active. So, Virgin Media have put this initiative together, trained the frontline driver engineer to be able to do it, and also use, to carry the portable defibrillator with them in every single location.
And of course, Fabrice, speaking of more kind of famous incidents of this horrible, thing that can happen, we saw in the Euros in the summer, of course, Christian Eriksen from Denmark collapsing. And I've no idea if you were watching it live, Fabrice, but, perhaps seeing the replays back, even hearing about it, must have been quite uncomfortable for yourself as well.
Yeah, it's not nice, because obviously the game was playing, and also the game to be played at home country at that particular moment. You have your wife or your girlfriend in a touch line. I'm sure the parents were there, his family were there as well. So you do not want that image to be remembered of Christian being, not alive from that situation. But the outcome was that he was able to leave the stadium alive, which means what was worked in place in regarding to CPR and people having a defibrillator nearby played a vital role on his survival. So, which is a huge message out there, that you want to encourage people to do CPR, learn how to do CPR, have access to a defibrillator. And if you mean make it mandatory for school to train students and young people to know how to do it, we might as well do it, because you don't know what's around the corner.
Of course, as well, we've seen in Spain, Sergio Aguero. I'm sure you will have seen earlier this week. We're not quite sure of his exact condition, but it looks like he's got a particular heart problem as well. What was your kind of reaction when you heard that about Sergio Aguero, of course, an extremely prominent striker?
What also shows you that you can have You can do screening, but the screening doesn't guarantee we can detect there's an issue there. And this has only happened because after he felt the chest in his pain, then they went after the screening, then they realized he had an issue there. But the best thing about it, that we know there's a problem. Now it's what do we do about his issue? Obviously, he'll probably get the best medical care that he needs. But at the end of the day, it's not down to him, the decision which he will make. But is what we should be thankful that it never really happened to him in terms of him collapsing on the pitch. Hopefully Barcelona and him will have the right information before they make the correct decision for both parties.
Fabrice, last couple of things while I've got you on a different subject. Sport has been in the headlines this week for some sad reasons surrounding racism. Azeem Rafiq, the famous cricketer, has given evidence to a committee of MPs where he relayed, some of the experiences he's felt. Did you see any of that? And also, how does it make you feel as an extremely prominent black sportsman yourself? Of course, Azeem Rafiq, a very prominent ethnic minority sportsman. What was your reaction? Have you heard any of the evidence he gave?
I heard briefly a little bit about that. I think what said to me that sports supposed to be reunited people. We've seen it over the summer when England got knocked out of the Euro. There was some abuse from fans that were not really fans. They started targeting players. But I think what we're getting away from is that sport is supposed to bring people together rather than divide people. As long as we come together for the main purpose or reason, which is to try to win and remove the unnecessary of racism, all that kind of stuff. This because it doesn't add anything to the game. Literally, it takes away the fun of it from the game. So for me, it's just all about people educating themselves about other people's race as well. Educate yourself and know how to handle how to behave yourself in that particular environment too.
And lastly, Fabrice, I have to ask you, there is a film out, it's just come out, it's Arsene Wenger, Invincible, your former manager, a film essentially celebrating his life, the Invincible era, his time at Arsenal. You obviously, dealt with him, played senior games for Arsenal, also will have dealt with him when he was coaching you. What were your memories of working with Arsene Wenger, and will you be seeing the film?
Yeah, I saw Mr. Wenger about 2 weeks ago in London. Arsene, I have got huge admiration for Mr. Wenger for what he's done in English football, but also what he's done for so many of players like myself, which that he gave us an opportunity when nobody really believed in us. So for me, I've not seen the film, but he speaks very highly. He's done very well for what he's done for Arsenal, and I'm sure whatever image they portray of Mr. Wenger is always a good image.